I have the funniest thing to show you. Donald Trump is, of course, panicking about his former national security advisor, John Bolton, possibly testifying in the Senate impeachment trial. Now, why is Donald Trump panicking? John Bolton says in his upcoming book, and would likely say under oath, that he knows Trump was withholding aid from Ukraine until they smeared Joe Biden because Trump personally told him that. This is the assertion that John Bolton has made. So yesterday, Donald Trump retweeted a video of John Bolton being interviewed by Radio Free Europe back in August with the text "game over" in all capital letters. So clearly, Donald Trump believes that what Bolton says in this video proves either that Bolton is lying about what Trump told him regarding withholding aid to Ukraine, or that what Bolton says proves Trump really did care about corruption in Ukraine and not smearing Joe Biden or whatever the case may be. So I was interested and I watched the clip, which is only 40 seconds long. And what Bolton says is definitely not exculpatory of Donald Trump. And it actually could be self-incriminating if we pay close attention to what it is that John Bolton says. So let's first take a look at the clip. Then I'll explain to you what is going on here.
I will be meeting President Zelensky. He and President Trump have already spoken twice. President called to congratulate President Zelensky on his election and then on his success in the parliamentary election. They were very warm and cordial calls. We're hoping that they'll be able to meet in Warsaw and have a few minutes together because the success of Ukraine, maintaining its freedom, its system of representative government, a free market economy free of corruption, and dealing with the problems of the Donbass and the Crimea are high priorities here, obviously, but high priorities for the United States as well.
So what's the big deal? Well, John Bolton says in this clip, the success of Ukraine maintaining its free market economy free of corruption is a high priority in the United States. You don't usually say we want to maintain something unless it already exists. John Bolton says in this clip that the Trump administration wants to maintain Ukraine corruption-free. Now, Donald Trump and his lawyers have been arguing endlessly that Donald Trump did all of this crazy stuff because Ukraine is so corrupt and the corruption has to be fixed. And Trump feels so strongly about it that he said, let's pause the aid. That's the word they've now been using. And yet John Bolton said back in August, we want to maintain Ukraine's free market, corruption-free economy. This makes it more likely that fixing Ukrainian corruption was never really the issue because John Bolton said in August, they are corruption-free and a free market economy. So this is a new data point. And this new data point suggests that at least John Bolton didn't see Ukraine as a corruption-riddled mess, since he says, we want to keep Ukraine free of corruption. Now, you can parse the language some other way. You could rewrite the interpretation. You could say, well, it used to be not corrupt, and then at the time of this interview, Ukraine went back to being corrupt. And what Bolton meant is they want to go in and rid Ukraine of corruption. That's fine, right? And there's no question that to some degree, Ukraine does deal with corruption. That's not what's at issue here. But the plain and simple Occam's razor interpretation is that Bolton is saying in the clip, which is about 6 months old, Ukraine is relatively corruption-free and we want to keep it that way. This hurts the credibility of Donald Trump's story because we are told that Trump was so acutely concerned with corruption in Ukraine, which was the acutely corrupt place, that he went out of his way and personally got involved in saying, let's withhold the aid temporarily, let's pause it, as they say, until corruption is rooted out in Ukraine. It's just not believable when you see John Bolton say, yeah, we want to keep Ukraine corruption free. Number two, there's a reason Donald Trump tweeted this. Donald Trump tweeted this video because he thinks it makes him look good. Trump is tweeting John Bolton's own words as reliable evidence. In other words, Trump tweets this video because he believes that the content of what John Bolton is saying is exculpatory. We've already showed that the content of what Bolton says is not exculpatory, but the fact that Trump is saying, watch this video to figure out why I'm not guilty, means he thinks Bolton can be believed. In other words, if he believed Bolton was a liar, he wouldn't tweet a clip saying, look at what Bolton says as evidence that I didn't do anything wrong. So Trump wants you to believe that he's innocent because you can trust what Bolton says in the clip I just played for you. But he also wants you to believe that if Bolton were to testify in the impeachment trial and show up and say, Trump told me to withhold the aid until Ukraine smears Biden, in that case, you would not be able to believe John Bolton. In this case, John Bolton's words are so trustworthy that as far as Donald Trump sees it, they are exculpatory. It's a mess. It is an incoherent, laughable mess. And in the end, it's probably not going to matter. I wish I had some other conclusion that was less disgusting. But in the end, it probably won't matter because I continue to believe acquittal is a foregone conclusion. And I know every time I say this, someone writes to me. Sometimes people will say, David, you're being defeatist. No, I'm being realistic. Someone will write to me and they'll say, David, by predicting the acquittal of Trump, you were normalizing disgusting partisanship on the behalf of Republicans. No, I'm not normalizing it. I'm telling you, it's so bad that there's not even really a trial going on here. It's just a farce. It's a kangaroo court. They may not even have witnesses, if you can imagine that. So I am a realist on this program. I don't know what the audience gains from me saying, hey guys, I really think there's a shot if we call our senators. I don't. That's my belief. And if I end up being proven wrong, I will come back here and say, I got it wrong, but I'm not going to gaslight the audience. And if the reality of what I tell you makes you feel bad or makes you feel like we're conceding, I am informing you to the best of my ability. I don't see any path to conviction for Donald Trump in the Senate impeachment trial, and so I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I see a possible path to getting witnesses. If a few Republicans say, let's get witnesses here, I see a path to that. I see no path to Donald Trump's conviction. I see one path to his removal, and it's an overwhelming turnout against Trump in the November election coming up in just 9 months. Follow The David Pakman Show on Instagram for more on this and other stories from today, at David Pakman Show. And follow me on Instagram. Why not, right? At david.pakman. We'll take a quick break. So much more to discuss today. If you enjoy shows like Shark Tank or you're fascinated by entrepreneurs and how they become successful, I've got something really cool for you to check out. It's a YouTube channel we're partnering with called Upflip, and you can find it at davidpakman.com/upflip. It's a new channel. They're hitting the ground running with really excellent content. They're uploading new videos all the time. In each video, you meet a different entrepreneur and take an in-depth look at how they built their business from the ground up. You can examine the business up close, learn their strategies for success, see what it's like to live a day in their shoes. As an entrepreneur myself, I find this stuff endlessly interesting. I love learning about how business owners got to where they are, what motivates them, what the turning points were. And everyone who's featured in Upflip's videos have their own really cool insights to share, but it's content that's really easy to appreciate, even if you don't have your own business. Every entrepreneur on Upflip has their own story to tell. They're all fascinating. Check it out. If you watch my show, check out Upflip. This is part of a partnership we're doing with them. They're friends of ours. I think you'll really enjoy their content. It's really different. It's unique. There's something for everybody. Check it out. Subscribe to their channel at davidpakman.com/upflip.